ask all the time, what does it all mean? I'm very literal. You say death is temporary and that I'm going somewhere. Why am I wrong?
Well, live these lives better when we realize that we're more than just one little physical incarnation, birth to death.
So what I believe doesn't matter, it's going to
What you believe matters a lot. We're all in this together. And it's not just about humans, it's about all life on Earth. But I'd say fundamentally, it's about learning. And that the true answer to all of the world's dark problems is to recover love for ourselves, because each and every one of us is a divine connection to the creative source of the universe, but also we're all in it together.
Here's another question I have. How come when it's us, it's an abortion, and when it's a chicken, it's an omelet?
Believe in reincarnation. How come there are so many more people on the planet now than were on the planet 100 years ago?
Turns out that each and every one of us has a lifeline that can go into multiple different incarnations. We often reincarnate with various soul groups.
People say life begins at conception. I say life began about 1 billion years ago, and it's a continuous process. Continuous, just keeps rolling along. Rolling along.
This is an amplitude which will give us a probability. After sending many particles through, we found with a certain probability they would all appear on the left or all on the right.
So when we talk about a particle, say like an electron, it turns out that has a characteristic called spin. And only when you measure the particle do you find that it snaps out of that mixture, but rather when you have two of them. And here's the weirdness that happens. And you think they're completely independent, but you can set things up in such a way that when you do a measurement, it's always the case that if the one on the left is up, the one on the right is down. They never are both up or both down. So they're kind of locked together by a quantum connection. What was Einstein's view of what was going on here?
So you're seeing Einstein's geometry laid bare. The puncture in space-time is so deep that light moves around in an orbit, so that light behind the black hole, as I think we'll see soon, moves around and comes to us on these parallel lines at exactly that orbit. It turns out that orbit is the square root of 27 times just a handful of fundamental constants. It's extraordinary when you think about it.
It's light being lensed around it.
So you'll see here that some light from behind it gets lensed, and some light does a loop-to-loop around the entire orbit of the black hole. But when you get enough light from all this hot gas swirling around the black hole, then you wind up seeing all of these light rays come together on this screen, which is a stand-in for where you and I are, and you see the definition of this ring begin to come into shape. And that's what Einstein predicted over 100 years ago.
Really, what's going on here is if you have particles that the math says are both spinning up and spinning down at the same time, if you could look deeper to the deeper structure that Gerard was referencing, you'd find that these particles always have a definite spin. They're not actually going up and down. That's just mathematics. They actually have a definite spin, and therefore if you measure them and find that one is up and the other's down, they were already like that.
And how physically big is that?
So our entire solar system would fit well within that dark region.
But that's
and if I may,
yeah.
That dark region is the signature of the event horizon. The reason we don't see light from there is that the light that would come to us from that place was swallowed by the event horizon. So that's it.
And so when we think of a black hole, you think...
Your consciousness is the awareness, and you can develop a much richer awareness. That's a part of you that expands when it's liberated from the brain at the time of physical death.
And when I describe this to the general audience, people often get the phenomenon. Yeah, you measure it here, it's down, they measure it there, it's up. But then they always come back to me and say, but what's really going on? But just explain to me. I say, I just did explain to you.
If we basically see ourselves as physical beings with one incarnation, it gives us skin in the game, the emotional power of engagement, the loves, the losses, every bit of it.
You say death is temporary.
I would say it's like breathing. You breathe in here, breathe out in death, and then breathe in again for another incarnation. It's an oscillation, but it's a progression. It's not like the in some other traditions there's this kind of wheel of suffering, and that reincarnation is a wheel that you escape. I would say that's not true at all. This is about growth. We're here to learn and grow. The hardships in life are actually gifts. They are things that give us the challenges, and it's by recovering love for self and love for others, manifesting that in all the choice of our life, that enables that soul growth that we're here to do.